for that. Okay. And we have more than 70 plus of trainers which are specialized in their respective domain, right? Okay. And we offers more than 200 plus courses. Okay. And these are perfect. And these are some of the trusted clients we have. Like we have Tata Communication, there is SBI State Bank of India, which is one of the largest vending, public lending bank in India. These are some of the clients we have. Okay, so now directly let's jump on to the today's scenario-based question. Okay, before jumping into it, before reading up the question that has been displayed over the screen, just a prerequisite that I want to explain it to you how the things would going on today's session. First of all, I will be showing you the scenario. This in front of you is not a question. This is a scenario because the objective of today's session is it's a scenario based question. It's not like a simple MCQ kind of thing. It's a situation, right? You are in a situation, you are a CTO of an organization, this or that. It's been already explained in the question. So you just go through that, read the question, and what happens is that then look for what's the finding that you get it up, and then on the next slide you have a question. So first of all, get aware about the situation, the scenario, and based upon the scenario, you have a question that, okay, you are a CTO of an organization, right? Or you are a pen tester of an organization and you find out this particular vulnerability, right? Now, what would be your respective step, the next step that you will be take it up out of the following? Which one would you choose? So what I will be doing is that at least I will be getting 3 to 4 minutes of a time for you to reply it up. Okay, I want everyone to participate into it in the chat. Fine, it doesn't matter it's right or wrong. The participation is more important. The more you participate, the more you learn. Simple as that. Okay, so that's it. So that would be the agenda, or this would be the way through which we will be learning it up in today's session. First, understand the scenario, then I will be displaying up a question in front of you based upon that exact scenario, and then you have to choose what are the right answer we have. Correct? So this is the first scenario you have, right? I want everyone to please go through this particular question, this scenario. This is not exactly a question, this is a scenario. Just please go through this particular scenario, and then we will proceed ahead with the question. Okay, guys, just 2 minutes. Take your time, don't rush, understand the question, understand the scenario, and then only you will be able to reply to the question. So that's very, very important. Take your time. Okay, I'm just giving you 2 minutes. Understand what the scenario is all about, and then we will proceed with a question that is related to the scenario. Fine? Okay. And if you face any doubt, any questions, please let me know in the chat by itself. Okay? Perfect. Okay. So guys, this is a question you have. Okay? And that particular question is dependent on the situation. So this is a situation, this is the finding, you get it up, and now this is the question based upon that situation. Fine. So now read this particular question and response. So now what do is that now let's revise it up. Okay, perfect. So here the question says that which of the following combination of action would be the most effective in immediately addressing the issue, addressing the cost issue identified above, or in the situation that I have shown to you. Okay, I see that many of you are giving multiple answers, like A and B, C and D. This is kind of things. I would say if this would be an examination, that would be incorrect. In the question by itself, they have not mentioned anything about two options. You have to select one, right? If it's a demand of the question that you need to select at least two options, three options out of the following, they will be specifically mentioning it up in the question. Otherwise, guys, what will happen is that you have to stick with by default that you have to select only one answer. Okay, that's it. Perfect. So the first thing they set it up out of all those findings that we have get it. The first thing we get it up is that terminate the EC2 instance with low utilization and delete the unattached EVS volumes. Okay, I would not agree with this point, the A point. Why? Because terminating the EC2 instance, what if the EC2 instance means a server, if someone is not aware about that, EC2 instance means that this particular server contains some very sensitive piece of information, right? Even if the utilization is very less, 10%, 15%, but doesn't mean that this is just a useless thing. Okay, fine. So that's what it is. So A, it would not be a correct way to resolve this kind of an issue. Fine. Okay, what's the B? The B says that create reserve instance for your EC2 instance, okay, with low utilization and transition the infrequent S3 to S3 intelligent tiring. Still not a great move. Fine. And then you have another thing is that downsize the EC2 instance. Now this looks a great option, the C1, which most of you has given the answer, the C, and very good. C is downgrade the EC2 instance. Fine. So if let's say for example you have purchased or rented up a very high-end configuration server, now let's degrade it because definitely it doesn't make up a sense. Hardly it's utilizing 10 to 15%. So it doesn't make up a sense. Correct? You can just kind of degrade it up a little bit. Okay, perfect. Downgrade the size of the EC2 instance with low utilization and delete the unattached EBS volume. What's EBS volume? EBS Elastic Block Store is a virtual hard disk you have. If you delete it, the data gets stored. But that's unattached EBS volumes and it's just lying there. So definitely for sure, it's already eating up a lot of cost. So what you can do is that you can delete the EBS, degrade the server EC2 instance, okay? And then when it comes to the S3 part, you can transit it from infrequent access S3 data to S3 Glacier storage class, right? So what is this S3 Glacier storage class means that if there is a data that you does not want to touch for a longer duration of time, you subscribe to S3 Glacier storage class. Okay, you put it there. Let's say for example there is your property papers, which are very important thing, but you hardly need them. Once a year you need, once a year, like in entire year you need hardly one or two times. Fine. Or let's say for example is a very very sensitive piece of information, right? Your property papers, your flat papers, something like that, which is very very crucial when you need them, but most of the time they are setting it up in the lockers. So definitely for sure that kind of a folder data would be residing it up in the S3 Glacier storage class. It means it is there in a locker, kind of a locker you have in place, right? Which very rarely you need it. That's right. So I will be transiting the data which is infrequently accessed, the data that is not frequently accessed much, into the S3 Glacier storage class. So the correct answer would be C, and very good everyone. Most of you have given the correct answer. The C is going to be there. Okay, perfect. Now let's guys move to the second scenario. Right, this is the correct answer. Perfect. Now guys, this is the second scenario. I want everyone take your time and understand what the situation, what the scenario is all about. Just read it. First, understand the situation and then the response to that. Okay. For the response part, I will be definitely for sure will be giving you the questions. So in this particular case, understand the scenario. I'm giving you 2-3 minutes, right? Understand it, and then we proceed ahead with the question. Okay. So let's proceed ahead. Now, this is a scenario. The scenario, let's understand the scenario. The scenario says that your company, global research, any company, right, operates a mission critical e-commerce application on AWS. Okay. Downtime can result in significant financial losses and damage to your brand reputation. You want to ensure maximum availability for your application. You want maximum availability. This is a very important point, right? These are the keywords that you have to look for the examination, because sometime in the examination, but particularly the situation based question, what they do is that they just try to make you confused. A lot of situation they will be putting it up and you will get confused what actually want to do. So that's the thing. Remember here, the thing that the question is saying is that we want maximum availability. Otherwise, a lot of financial and brand reputation consequences your organization is going to face, right? Okay. Upon reviewing your architecture, you have investigated another time to identify these are the following. These are the findings that you have followed it up. Okay. So let's see what they are the finding. Single region deployment. The application is currently deployed in only one AWS region, right? There are plenty of regions we have in the AWS, like in Mumbai, North Virginia, Hyderabad, Seoul, Tokyo, a lot of them based upon a lot of factors like the compliance, latency, cost, right, service available. What you do is that you choose up a region. Fine. So what is happening is that you need maximum availability. The thing is that The application is currently deployed in one AZ, one region. Guys, do you think it's a great idea if you want a good availability, but you're deploying a service in only one region? Exactly. It's not a great idea. Why? Because what if the entire region goes down? Right? Because we have, if you are aware about the AWS architecture, right, we have the region, we have the availability zones, and then we have the data centers. Correct. So what if the entire region goes down? If the entire region goes down, guys, how would you be able to access it? Let's suppose this application is hosted in North Virginia, United States. If due to any reason there is a ransomware attack, downtime, technical issue, or right now, a glitch, or right, something goes wrong, fine, that's what actually was happening with this, Windows right now. Okay, those kind of things. Even if you are not aware about something, some technical issues, and entire servers, entire system is not accessible, something can go wrong in that kind of thing. Your application is present in that region only. There is no backup. It's present inside that region only. Now you are in serious trouble. Correct? Because that region is not accessible, because it's facing some downtime, update, patching, a ransomware attack, something like that. You are in serious trouble. Okay, so this is one thing. Okay, you need to understand the situation. So this is a really concerning situation. What I will be doing is that I will be replicating it up, right? With, like, which Gracie has said, multi-easy deployment. Absolutely, that would be my option. Okay, okay, or not just multi-easy, multi-region deployment. Because multi-easy means it's still just replicating inside the same region. Correct? That's the thing. So for this, I would be doing is that I will be replicating it in different region, guys. Okay. Second thing, second finding that I have created up in this thing is single AZ zone. All the resources are running within a single availability zone in that region. So it means that in, let's say for example, in a region, guys, how many minimum three or more, at least a minimum of three availability zones you will be having in your respective that region. Correct? Okay, so here it says that all the resources are running in a single availability zone. The first thing that I get it up is that the application is running it up in a region. Let's take the region is North Virginia. Okay, North Virginia, guys, has six availability zone. Now the second finding that I have get it up is from looking into my architecture is that out of that six availability zone, I have only get that application is running it only one availability zone. Even more trickier. Fine. Okay. The applications rely heavily upon single Amazon RDS instance for its database. So it's again relying upon only single RDS database server. Fine. This is what the situation is right now. It is in. Correct? A scenario. Now, guys, this is a question. To now go through the question, right? And tell me what is the correct answer. Understand what the question is. Which of the following strategy would be the most effective in improving high availability of your respective application? Right? Okay, so we have get to know from the situation that, let's go back to the situation, the thing we get it up, that the application is deployed in one region, and inside the one region it's deployed in one zone only, because in a region there can be multiple availability zone, at least three, right? The example that I'm setting it up is of North Virginia. North Virginia by default has six availability zone, but what happening is there that the application is present in only one availability zone. That's also again a big concern. What if the availability zone by itself goes down? Even the other availability zone are perfectly fine, but if one of the availability zone goes down, still you're in serious trouble. Fine, and its applications rely upon this RDS instance only. One, I would prefer a cluster. Okay, so now let's come back to the question. Let's explore what the options we have. The first one is create an Amazon RDS read replica in the same availability zone. Okay, that is the one. Fine. Another one you have, which is enable multi-AZ deployment for your Amazon RDS instance. That means that just the RDS instance you have in place, you are replicating it up in multiple regions. That's exactly what it means. Right? Still would not resolve the problem. Fine. Another thing is that you have the C, which most of you have given the correct answer, that deploying an application multiple AWS region, which definitely for sure resolve my issues, that you have multiple regions, right? My application is already present in North Virginia in one of the availability zone. What I can do is that I can replicate it to in Mumbai as well. So if the North Virginia goes down, what will happen is that still I have my application. I can redirect to the traffic, correct? That's what I can do. So I can deploy an application in multiple easy Fine. What I mean is that in this case is that if I just draw it up, if this is one of the availability zone like North Virginia, fine, and this is another availability zone I have in Mumbai. The application is running it up here as well as here, a backup, a synchronous application, something like that. You can set it up in this case. If this goes down, still the application is there in place, right? That's what you're talking about, right? In multiple regions, not just in one region, but in multiple regions, you can have it up and implement cross-region replication for your respective databases, right? So cross-region replication takes place into it. Fine. Of Janvi, it's synchronous replication. The moment you put into it, it's get replicated immediately. Okay, within no time, but definitely for sure, it will a little bit costly if you are subscribing for that. Fine, that's the thing. Okay, that's what we have in the synchronous replication. Fine. So C is the correct answer for that. Perfect. Okay, multiple regions and implement cross-region replication. So if what happens is that if let's say for example you have in one region in North Virginia and you have another region, a like the Mumbai one, you have this respective RDS database, right? Okay, and you have here also an RDS database. So they are synchronized. They are in synchronous replication. If you put something into it, automatically it is present here as well. Fine. So if this goes down, still the respective database with the file is present here. Okay, that's what you achieve here. Perfect. Now, guys, this is the third scenario. Check. Okay, guys. So now let's understand the question. First, the situation. The situation is that, or scenario is that your company, SecureFin, handles sensitive financial data in the AWS environment. You are concerned about the unauthorized access for this data and want to implement strong security measures. Upon reviewing your current setup, you discover the following. Right, these are things that you have for you have get it up. Right, it's in analysis. So let's look into it. What you have find out. The first is that some of the S3 bucket contains sensitive data and has public read access. Okay, so that's definitely for sure. It is not a great thing that you have an S3 bucket which contains very sensitive piece of an information, particularly which is called the PII or the PHI personal health information, right? Okay. That's the thing. Then we have the IAM users. Several IAM users have overlay permissions that grant access to resources they do not need. Yes, definitely for sure. Some of you have written up this least privilege part. Definitely. Least privilege is not properly strictly implemented here. Fine. Several IAM users has an access of resources that is beyond their IAM roles. Okay, or their role inside the organization, right? So let's say for example, if why do it doesn't make up a sense that why will um, a kind of salesperson would have access to the DevOps department. It doesn't make up a sense. Why? Exactly. Okay. So another thing that you're finding it up is that you have limited logging and monitoring enabled across your AWS services, right? So definitely for sure that will be logging is not properly enabled. You need to check into it. What's the reason behind it, and take proper measures. So let's look into it. What we can do. Okay, so which of the following combination best suits your respective situation? What you can do in this kind of situation, right? Out of the following that you're finding out, the S3's bucket is public, there is less or not so strictly implemented least privilege, those kind of things you have in place. So, which is the best option in order to counter it? Out of this following, right? We have disable public access for S3 bucket. Okay, that's the one you have, right? Disabling it for general public, fine, and implementing least privilege account for the IAM user, perfect. That's to suit the second situation as that, as well as we have enable AWS CloudTrail for logging across all supported services. Absolutely, CloudTrail is a service we have in the AWS to monitor or collect all of your logs. That's so your what are the whatever requirements you have related to the logs, related to the least privilege, and related to the your buckets which contain sensitive data are public. It's all resolved in the first step. So the correct answer, which all of you has rightly mentioned it up, is the A. disable public access for all the bucket, resolve the first problem, implement the least privilege across the IAM user, that's the second problem resolved, and third is enable CloudTrail for logging across all supported services. And remember, guys, this is very important. CloudTrail is there to collect so log any kind of an activity that takes place in your AWS account by any user, root user, whatsoever it is, it's been put up in the CloudTrail. Okay, that's the thing. Perfect. So the correct answer would be the A. Fine. And here you see that it say enable server side encryption for S3 objects. Definitely for sure, that's not going to resolve an issue in place. Okay, that's what we are dealing with, right? Create an IAM role for application instead of the IAM user. Still not a good option, I would say. So the first fulfill all the criteria out of these things. Correct? Perfect. So now, guys, this is the fourth scenario. Okay, guys, so let's explore what the question says. So that, right before that, let's see what the scenario is. The scenario is that your company, Resilient Tech, run a critical application on the AWS. You have been tasked with improving the company disaster recovery strategy to minimize downtime and data loss in the event of an outage. Okay. So in short, you have to make your again the availability issue is there. Okay. Upon reviewing the current setup, you discover this kind of one following situation. One is the application is deployed in a single AWS region. Again, a problem, right? Because of what if the region goes down? If the region by itself goes down, trust me, you will not be able to access your own files. Okay. Then there is no automatic backup is there to configure out the application data. Okay. That's another big problem. There's no automatic backups you have. Fine. Okay. The third problem is that you're getting it up is that the existing disaster recovery plan release on manual steps to restore your application. So you have to again manually do the settings or the configuration. Fine, that's again a humongous task if you have a lot or lots of data. So this kind of a problem that you're getting it up. Okay, so which out of these options you have, which is the good option? Fine. The first one is create a snapshot of the application EBS volume. Okay, that's make up a sense. Fine. Store the backup in the Amazon S3 and document step-by-step manual recovery procedure. So it's a great procedure, but does not resolve my own situation. Remember, this in itself is perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with this procedure. But the problem that I'm getting it up is this: it's a single AWS region. Fine. This thing does not the A does not resolve my that the single region part in place, right? That the particular data is present in the single region that does not resolve. Let's look into the B option. The B says that set up cross region replication of the application data. Okay, this is good because it's talking about replicating the data not just in one region but in another multiple regions. Correct? That's what it's talking about. So let's say, for example, if this is your respective North Virginia, okay, and on the other hand you have, say, let's say for example this is your Mumbai, this is your Singapore region. So what you can do is that you can set up cross region replication. The data get replicated in these regions as well. So if this primary one goes down, still the backup or the file can be extracted from the respective backup. Okay, that's what the first point is all about, the B. Okay, automatic backup using AWS backup. So the backup would be taken automatically. Correct. Okay, still resolve second issue and implement Amazon Route 53 failover routing policy. Okay, so what? So failover routing policy talks about that if, let's say for example, you have two servers. So this is your primary and this is secondary one you have in place, right? Both contains up, let's say, 5 GB of data. So what happens is that if this particular you have your Route 53, if this is failed, this primary fails, what is happening is that you are redirected to the secondary one. That's the routing policy, right? You can mention it out. So B fulfills the situation. Okay, that's the thing. And I see many people giving up the answer that C is the correct answer. Remember, C is in itself is a great option, but remember that it does not fulfill my situation. You have enable Amazon RDS multi-easy deployment, but there is no mentioning of the RDS part. Fine, one thing. Another thing is that use Amazon EFS file sharing storage. Again, this is a great thing. EFS is a fantastic service we have, but it does not resolve any of my issue here. Correct? That's the thing. So that's why the correct answer is going to be B. Okay, perfect. And yes, correct, AC. It's in single AZ. It's in single region, right? Okay. So inside a region, you can have multiple, like say, for example, this is your respective Mumbai, and you can have this availability zone 1, 2, and 3. So it's talking about that you are having it multiple in multiple AZs. But what if this entire region goes down? Still, in that kind of a situation, guys, you are in serious trouble. Fine. Okay. So, guys, this is the fifth scenario. Please go through it. Okay, guys. So this is the situation we have. Now let's move to the question. This is a question. So guys, go through this question and please let me know what would be the correct answer. Okay, guys. So let's read the situation. This fifth situation is that your company, FlexiScale, runs a popular e-commerce website on AWS. Okay, during a peak shopping season like Black Friday or the Cyber Monday, your website experienced massive traffic spike. You want to ensure your application scales seamlessly to handle these big fluctuations without implementing, without impacting performance. Right? Upon reviewing your current settings, you discover this kind of things, right? The web server and the database are running on a fixed site EC2 instance. Okay, not a great thing. What if it's need, the requirement increases? What kind of situation will be in, right? Scale up or down requires manual intervention, which is time consuming and prone to errors. Definitely, for sure, there could be human errors, technical errors, a lot of things can go wrong in this kind of things. Okay, so now let's resolve this issue, right? Which of the following combination action would most effectively improving of the scalability of your e-commerce platform? The first one we have in place is implement Amazon CloudFront in front of the website and use global accelerator for improving the network performance. No, I would not say that. That would not resolve the issues we have in this case. The issues that we are dealing with up is with the fixed EC2 instance, right? And about also scaling up and down, right? Okay. Then the second options we have configure an application load balancer. So guys, can anyone tell me what the load balancer is all about? So you have your respective application load balancer. Okay, so you configure the application load balancer, the ALB, and what you also do is that you auto scaling group. You enable up the auto scaling groups. Correct? Okay. So guys, what is the role of a auto scaling group? So if I tell you about the load balancer part, this is your respective load balancer. The traffic comes to the load balancer, and in the back end you have your respective servers. This is S1, server 1, and this is your server 2, S2. Correct? So what you do is that you can just either redirect to server 1 or server 2. There could be multiple others as well. Okay? Perfect. And then on the other hand, we have auto scaling group, right? The automatic scaling part. The number of servers can be increased and decreased based upon the utilization. That's what we can do it up as well in the auto scaling group, right? And Amazon RDS multi-AZ deployment for your respective database. Clear? That's what it is. So if we look into the answer, exactly the correct answer we have is the B. Clear, guys?